Hey yo guys, we are live. It's so today I'm actually here with Rayn. Some of you may actually know him already. He appears often in my astrology classes. You may have seen him at Navigate 2020. And you know, me and him, we've been friends for quite a long time, and we're getting this conversation going, and we thought, you know what, let's just do this on Facebook Live. Let's absolutely share our conversation. And you know, I'm just going to my page right now, looking for uh, this Facebook Live, and I see Rain is much faster than me. You have already shared. You are brilliant. Okay, I'm sharing on my page right now. Okay,
Nice.
so yeah,
Yeah.
just give me a second. I'm clearly not as nifty on this.
Yeah, clicking is part of my job. So
I know, right? Okay, no, the reality is that I'm very spoiled, and a lot of my stuff is all done by Jeremy. And most of you who be on my thing, so
everyone wants a Jeremy.
yeah, man.
Only one
You
Jeremy.
you know what? You know what? I'm gonna ask Jeremy for help. Yeah, Jeremy's gonna have to help me do this. So those of you who are watching this, and frankly, right, it's like been following my webinars. I've been talking about this go air thing for the longest time. But you know, my friends know this, and Rain definitely is one of my close friends. He knows the real secret here is I'm not that great with technology also. But I also said that we must have good teams, good superhero teams, and that's why I have Jeremy on my team.
Agree. Agree. So envious.
Yeah, man. And okay, so I guess for people who are joining us here, I mean, you whether you're coming in from my channel or from Rain's channel, and you may see from the description that today is something what we call astrology X investment, the human behind. And I think so. What we're trying to do is like sort of get a behind the scenes look at what's really happening, to topics that are very relevant to people. And you know what? Like, if you allow me to sort of introduce Rain properly to everyone. So in fact, Rain is the director of Forex 100 Academy, and so that's the official introduction. And he's clearly very known in his industry. I believe he's spoken at several trade conferences, and for many types of like learning kind of conferences. And so that's the part that everyone knows. You can easily check him out online. I believe he's got a lot of videos. He shares his trade ideas and his trade signals. But you know, I'm not really like his client, and I'm not how to say this is apart from my business relationship with Rain. We've been friends for a long time. How long has it been, Rain?
More than 7 for sure.
More than 7.
I think
Why?
it's about 8 to 9.
Yeah, it's really that long. It's
Yeah.
really that long. Yeah. So we've been we I guess we started out as core members of a business network.
Correct.
And I think, but what was very interesting was how quickly we connected.
Yeah.
I think as friends, and it's not so easy to connect so quickly with
Correct.
even among business people.
Yes.
Yeah, and so one of the interesting things that people don't really know about me and Rain is that we actually shared an office for quite a long time. Yeah,
Two different occurrence.
yes, on two separate occasions.
Alright.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, we shared an office. And he's opened his office to me before, and then afterwards I opened my office to him.
Yeah.
So let's just say I think it's quite safe to say that we got to know each other a little bit better than most
Most people. Yeah.
most friends actually do. So and another thing. Okay, so this is where I'm shamelessly plugging myself here. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that Rain is actually one of my first astrology students. So when
Exactly.
my when my astrology class first came up, he was one of the first people to show up, and I was surprised when he first came. So the reason why I picked him to be part of like this very first Facebook Live that I'm doing is in a sense, it's kind of to protect myself also, just in case I start running into like getting excited about some astrological thing. At least I don't leave him lost in the middle of nowhere. Is there anything in your introduction that I should have added, Rain?
I think it's perfect. It is done very, very nicely, and this is like what May have shared. I just came back from an appointment, and we shout out like, why not we just do this? And I find that it's a great idea. Why not? Let's do this, right? And a lot of our friends are working from home and stuff like that, and I believe there's a lot of audience that is maybe thinking of what's going to happen and start planning for Chinese New Year and what is going to happen after that. So I think it's always fun to have this impromptu going on.
Yeah, and it's what a Chinese New Year that is coming up, right, Rain? I mean, last year people were talking about, oh, maybe Chinese New Year might be affected, but this year Chinese New Year is definitely affected.
Yes, very interesting. Yeah. Then we start to see things like commercial, like television that having like advertisement, very nice advertisement, very cute, where they try to do the pioneer with their grandparents and stuff like that. I think it's quite fun and it's quite interesting. It's quite funny. I love the angle, but end of the day, I still love to say that it's always good to stay safe. 1 year not meeting, 2 years not meeting is fine, as long as everyone is healthy. I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, and and if you're just joining us in right now, I think some of the me and Rain, we were thinking about some of the reasons why we want to come on and do this. And the first thing is, as we talk about this Chinese New Year thing, Chinese New Year is just one of the things that's on the highlight in 2021 right now. I think a lot of people are worried. It's a sense that I keep getting. Do you get it, Rain? I mean, I get people emailing me after my webinars, texting me, and sharing their concerns with me. Is that what you experience as well?
Yes, I realized there is a very interesting trend last year. While a lot of times, we might be thinking that the unemployment rate is very, very high. In fact, there's actually a lot of people quitted their jobs. And maybe I'm in the mid-30s. I don't quite understand why you quit a job during a pandemic. But in fact, that's what happened. And a lot of my friends, they are doing a retraining of their staff because the turnover suddenly become like huge. And it's really, really shocking. At the same time, we also, realize this very interesting trend that people start to go into trading just like that. It's just like an overnight thing. And we heard news like, every month, a lot of trading houses, like brokering firm and stuff like that, brokerage firm, they are making new highs because they're getting more and more clients each month. And it is quite shocking. Yeah, to see people to jump into things like that. Yeah.
When you say new clients, you're talking about like people are they're getting involved as investors, you mean?
Yes, correct. They start to jump in and buy stocks, trading currency, or even, right now the hot topic, Bitcoins, right? They start to get into it. Like overnight, everyone is a trader. So at least that's what I feel.
I tell you, Rain, I have so many, I get, okay, no, here's the thing. I get so many questions about Bitcoin, but the reality is I have so many questions about Bitcoin. I don't think I'm the only one. It's not about what we read. But okay, can I be very curious, right? You talk about people going and do these investments as maybe not like, as in the way you say, it's not like a super positive thing. And why is that the case? I mean, in uncertainty, is this hedging their risk or what?
Okay, so the thing is that most people, when they get into trading, when we are not saying about the things about their humble words and whatsoever, most people, they get into trading, they are not looking to earn $100 or $200 more. Let's be frank, a month. They are not looking to do that. They are thinking of maybe replace the income, and even better, I become a millionaire and financial independent, or at least, let's say, if you put some context, $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And in Singapore context, that those kind of income is known as the professional income. Like doctors, lawyers, they are earning that kind of money, and in Singapore context, they can take up to like 25 to 30 years of their life, correct, to get recognized as a doctor, correct? So because we have, for guys, we have national service that will take up about 2 years, in between 1 year of break and whatsoever. So it's about 28, 30 years old. So let's say education-wise, you took up about 20 years there, about plus minus. Then they earn that kind of income with a lot of internship in between, practice in between. Then they start to earn like 5,000, 10,000. But the funny,
but these guys are just jumping into it.
Yeah, they are like, I watched a YouTube video for 30 minutes, done. People spend 30 years, of their entire life to get that, from age 0 all the way to 30 years, correct? So if you want to do a bit of calculation or drop it to 20 years of education, they get their high income, but traders, they always felt that just a 20 minutes or 30 minutes of YouTube video can make them become a millionaire. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but we look into the consistency of it, and a lot of times, why earning money is difficult in trading is because of the emotion attachment.
Yeah.
I need to earn money. I need to put table on the food from this trading account, and it will cause them to make wrong judgment, early exiting of trade and stuff like that. So,
but Rayn, I wanted to so actually you brought to a couple of different things that they're quite different. Like the first thing that you actually talked about was that people were going into trading without necessarily having enough background. And then the second part was when you talk about the emotional thing, right? So let's go back to what you were talking about, like people just sort of jumping into things. And I want to ask you, like, did you think that this is it's like a side effect of this very information age? Because the reality is, people feel like, oh, I just need to know a few things. And nowadays it's very easy to find what I call bullet points. It's bullet points that you can easily find on a website or on any topic. Really, any topic, be it like diabetes or like forex trading or even astrology, like favorite one, right? So it's like what do you think is really missing? I mean, traditionally we want to say that, oh, if you want to do something, you have to know XYZ. But right now it's easy for people to actually know XYZ. Because if you want to know about X, you watch 100 videos about X, then you know about X. So what is it that is missing even after a person gets XYZ on information?
Okay, so actually there are two parts to it. The first part will be everyone can be an author just by opening up a blog and share a view, correct? And if you have enough people sharing the same thoughts, that become a potential facts and potential truth to the perceived readers, and that might not be true, correct? Or it could be outdated information that you read a book based on a book that was published 5 years ago, and market decision or market movement does change. So that's the first part. That's why it took me quite some time to search for other information via Google, because in my industry, I can't rely on Google to make an analysis. That's one.
I hope not.
Yeah, I can't. So the second thing is because of this low barrier of entry. So if we talk about forex trading, the barrier is really very low. As good as if you are trading with some offshore broker, they are what we call the KYCB, that means know your customer, background check isn't very high. You can just start an account with just as little as $50 and stuff like that, and they don't check much with $50 of deposit, but if you deposit a higher amount, things might be different, you see. Then they will check whether your flow of money and stuff like that. So it became very easy for you to open an account and say, hey, I am forex trading, therefore I'm a forex trader. You get what I mean? So I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Well, I mean, but I guess if I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think might be, say, the top 2 to 3 dangers that lurk in this new, what I call information age investing? What's the top 2 dangers?
Well, you see, in Instagram, or if I may quote one of the very, very popular social media, there is always a posting of a feel good factor. It's really hardly for you to see anyone, even your circle of friends, to post something that's negative or putting them down in a social aspect. So they will post things as nice and sharing positive stuff. Well, that is good. But when you are looking at traders that's doing that, and you start to see thousands of dollars, tens of $1,000s, big cars, big house, it kind of really push people to really go into it without thinking about their downside, and they just go all positive without thinking about the what if, you see. So that causes people to have a what you call a mismatch of expectation.
Okay. So in fact, what you're actually saying here is that even social media, and because I kind of really want to angle into the trader psychology.
Yes.
Because it's like, where in social media, as you say, people want to post about when they make money. But when they lose money, it's like everybody goes quiet. And you never know.
Go silent
You never
about
know
2
if they
weeks and
lose.
3 weeks, and suddenly posting earning again. Okay. Yeah. So that's very a rub on a lot of people's egos, and that's when they keep on trying without realizing that, you know, you need to have some basic first. You have to, you know, use spare cash to do it, and you shouldn't overtrade, because I love to use these quotes a lot, you know, and I often tell people around and share with them that, you know, you remember that bad trade that you hit losses. When you engage the trade, you don't believe you are going to lose money, right? No one in the right mind say, hey, yes, let's lose some money to the market and try to hit some losses. They believe that is a good trade. That's why they engage the trade. But the outcome is different. It's just like business decision, correct? All bad partnership seems to be a good partnership to start off with. And they are blind spots that you didn't see, you didn't plan out in advance, and that's how, you know, you get into things like that. Yeah.
Because I think this is really, really important for people to hear, like, seriously. You know, so guys, if you're watching this, right, what you are seeing here is a bit of a chat, right, between me and Rayn. We are good friends, but also professionals from two very different fields. We're from astrology as well as from the forex side of things. So in fact, today we're actually going to talk a lot about like profiling. So guys, if you're watching this is not the usual stuff that you see me talking about on my webinars. It's like, as you can see, I don't have a proper background or anything. It's going to be very no host, but, and it's the same thing for Rayn as well, although his background looks much nicer than my virtual background, right? Yeah, but guys, seriously, I mean, if you know people who are very interested in profiling in investment, share and get them to come. Right, because this is where I think it's one of the rare occasions where you actually get a behind the scenes look, where, you know, neither me nor him are, like, you know, properly dressed up, and we're not required to say certain things. We can say anything we want, and I think we kind of agreed, you know, we are going to give people like the real story behind things. Yeah. So, you know, if I can, right, you know, Rayn, some people have actually emailed me, this is a real question. After my webinar, lots of people tell me, hey, I'm in insurance, I'm in trading, I'm in investment. And based on what you say, this earth era to air era thing, they get super worried, you know. It's like, then I touch money every day, right? I touch, like, you know, resources on a daily basis. But you know, people are saying, I have not done much else for my professional life. This is my trade. So how do you see? Okay, after Rayn shares, I will also share lah. Okay, what I think is good investment's going to be. But let's hear from the professional first. What is era investment and trading?
This is challenging,
your
man. Okay, so, well, personally, I am very involved in trading. So if you ask me if trading is going to completely disappear, my dear friend over here may have a shared her view many of times, and I am not discounting the possibility. However, I believe that people will be more drawn into information in trading, like why you enter this trade. I want to understand why. Or maybe I say, let me just, talk about the trading industry is going to change. I don't expect people to just go to a seminar or webinar to listen to why forex trading should be the choice, or why stock trading should be the choice, why you should be investing. I think those kind of videos is going to be outdated. Rather, people would want to attend a webinar or seminar to learn something in the process. And building community will be very, very important. Moving forward, I think technology is, something that people will start into things like automated trading, using robots to help them to do simple analysis. And at the same time, maybe even copy trading has been around for 10 over years, but it really never really take off. I know there are some big brands that they have very, very clientele base, but it never really take off. Yep. People in the industry are saying that they are trying, but moving forward, things will be very, very different. But that being said, I'm not asking you to jump into and buy robots that is, $500, $1,000, $2,000, for example, and guarantee you or say that, big brands, big boys are doing these, this website will be shut down. You read those kind of advertisement before? This is a secret. It will be shut down very soon. Get onto it. This celebrity.
But those are like scam stuff, right?
I won't use the word because I'll never know. It's just like, just jokes aside, but this is quite true. Many, many years ago, people come to me and say, hey, Rayn, this is Bitcoin, it's $200. Let's invest into this. I say, get out. don't cheat my money, and of course, with whatever pride we can say, and if time can go back, I will invest that instead of buying physical silver, correct? We will never know. But what I want to say is that you have to understand the system, the mechanism behind it. If the system fail, how much are you going to lose, and are you able to take it? Do not just be so put into things like looking at high winning rate. High winning rate it could be as good as, I'm exaggerating, of course, but earning $1, but when you lose $100. Of course the winning rate is higher, but once you hit your losses, it will really affect your entire portfolio. And I think we are not at the age of listening to stories. Oh, because of Brexit, because of COVID, because of this, because of that. End of the day, we want to see profits, correct?
Yep.
So you have to know what is the system is about, what you're going to lose, and during like elections, things like Brexit, which is over, but events like this, you have to stop all these robots from trading because this is uncharted water and you have to be very, very careful.
So in fact, you bring up a very interesting point, because that lots of people have actually asked, okay, like if, the conversation about robots replacing human is an ongoing conversation, and it's going to be a big one in this era. And in fact, just now something you said, that you actually think that in all these like what you call uncharted waters, or like event based kind of thing, it's not it is what really, why is it that the robots are not a good idea?
Because like, let's say we take the recent US election, the robots do not have statistics of Joe Biden's versus Donald Trump. Correct. Yes, they have previous presidents, maybe Donald Trump versus Clinton. But it's a different thing because the topics are different. It is not a repeated event. At least to the parties in comparison is different. So traders are trading on repeated patterns or tradable patterns. Things like that is not tradable because there isn't a history before that. Just like Brexit, there isn't a history prior to the event, but of course you can only compare Brexit with the previous Brexit discussion. And right now people are looking at post-Brexit discussion. You get what I mean?
So in fact, what you are referring to, right, is this concept of, it's like the human judgment is something that cannot be replicated by a robot. And is that what you mean?
Correct. The human emotion cannot be replicated because, a lot of my people in the internet talk about this trading and ask about gold and ask about Bitcoin, and not just me. There are other gurus out there as well. Our answer is the same. These are all emotional buy. There's no read on that. There's no read on that at all. Yeah. So you can say whatever you want, splitting whatsoever. You can try to make sense of it using journaling and news and whatsoever, but you weren't able to know before that. Like take for example, last week or 2 weeks ago, Bitcoin was at 42,000 and right now 31,000. So what's the reason for the big drop?
Yep.
Okay. All I can tell you very, very, very straightforward is people cashing out. That's it. What else? You get me?
Yeah. But I there are a few thoughts going through my head even as you are talking about these things, because for those of you listening, I think this is really, really crucial. You're getting a lot of like really behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't really talk about. Because you see, for example, when Rayn talks about all these human factors when it comes down to like Brexit and everything, but the way I see it is that because of this air era thing, and I'm coming from an astrological perspective, because of this air era thing, I fully predicted that at least, last year was already a sneak preview already. And then this year, and I don't think anyone doubts that the next 2 to 3 years are going to be a whole series of uncharted waters.
Yes.
There will be new events happening that have never happened before in the world. Just COVID by itself is creating just one factor by second, third order, fourth order thinking, created so many situations in every industry that is literally unpredictable.
Yes.
So in fact, what I'm trying to sort of bring out here is that the interesting thing is the air era will change trading in the sense that it is like, even for Rayn, I believe as a teacher, often we teach a certain technique that is designed to work in analysis. So it's like the world works in patterns.
Yes.
The unfortunate truth is that when an event happens such that the patterns don't follow the normal norms.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what exactly would you recommend then? I mean, for somebody who is almost like some of your regular notes can throw out already. It doesn't work, right? Is it like that?
Okay, so as a trader, so maybe just a bit about myself. Been trading for about 16 years, coaching about 13. So what is important is there is a continuous learning that I don't know whether May you do that, but let me just share a bit what I do.
Yeah.
So there are certain patterns, not to advertise, so I'm not going to name those patterns, but um, there are certain patterns that you trade certain way. And those are being tested for 20 years. And it is very, very popular for the past 20 years, even today. However, 2-3 years ago, the entry price and some of the rules has started to change. And if you do not make notes, like you do not do like draft or journaling, you will not know that things have changed. And if you apply the old rule, you're going to lose a lot of money. I what I do, I always will do continuous learning, observation. I will plot in advance. Although I don't post it because I don't want to, it's not a secret, but I don't want to confuse my reader. You know, you are going to sell here, you're going to buy here, you're going to wait for this here, then it's too much for them. So I make it very simple for them to read and understand. However, behind the scene, I do a lot of thinking, okay, and observation and see if the trend have changed. That is one. The second thing that's answer, I hope answer May's question about patterns and rules change. Yes, the fundamental is still there, but there are changes here and there. So it's very important for you to get a coach that is trading right now, and you have to listen if they are sharing their thought process. And those thought process, we are not asking you to follow the coach blindly. You have to go and generate your own ideas. You have to ask questions. Earlier on, I'm having a meal at the KFC, and I saw this father, trying to teach the daughter. I was like, okay, certain things you shouldn't say. You're going to regret it. Because he encouraged his daughter to try everything in life, then you know whether you like it or not. I was like, you really want to try everything in life to see whether you like it or not? But the mindset, the thoughts, is really good. If you don't try, you won't know. So you really, in trading, you have to love the experience of it. You have to engage a trade, seeing that you are going to make the losses over here, your worst case scenario, before you go into trading. So let me just add a bit more that is not exactly this, but it's related. What I'm really, really very worried about is the entire financial system. When I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about the trading, and if you have seen my nick over there, I am doing currency, forex, and the rationale behind, I find that it's still money. There are some value to it because you still need to buy coffee and tea using that. Okay. So what I'm worried about is stocks. When I was watching Bloomberg every day, I have those journalists, saying things like, the situation of COVID is really damn bad, but the stocks are skyrocketing. They don't understand. They say they really don't understand. And you won't expect an international, well-branded news center and whatsoever to say things like that. And what is worrying is that we have to really see things beyond. A lot of countries, governments, they are trying to help people. So they launch very, very low interest rates for people to, borrow money to help their business, to employ, to get staff, so everyone get a job. That is the ideal scenario. But what will people actually do? They borrow those money and they're going to dump into stocks that they feel that is going to happen to earn money. And
it's I start to realize that there are lots of people, okay, maybe as a side effect of the webinars that I've been doing, I really get a lot of people like really sending me like what they're into. And I tell you, although I've been doing astrology around the same time as you, actually, you've been doing 16, me too. But the thing is, I've never actually seen so many people telling me that they're going into stocks. I take
over there, everyone is a trader, man.
I take Grab, and my Grab driver is telling me what stocks to buy. The reality is, I'm really shocked. And these are a lot of these people are people who don't exactly have a history of doing stock investments, so that they're going into it. And the best part is they're advising me to get into it. So I mean, I have my things about that lah. And for people who are listening to this, right, I know I'm going to be a bit controversial. And me and Rayn don't always agree on everything, but this thing I think we agree on. I'm also very worried about stocks.
Yeah, because you see, these people, when they borrow this money, let's just talk about the borrowing part. If their investment fail, are they going to pay out? They are going to default. And when they default, it's a what I love to call a domino effect, or you want to call it butterfly effect. The bank is not going to get money back. There are some agencies, they really start to downgrade banks in terms of their risk and whatsoever. And I tell you, when people can't pay out 6 months down the road, you are going to see horrible things. And those who also invest in property for student hostel, like overseas, like Australia and UK, God, man, I'm really worried about them because who are staying there right now? A lot of people
not
are
just student
returning
hostels, but Rayn, people are buying, not just Singaporeans, but people are buying property all around the world.
Yeah.
Usually in anticipation of, say, certain cities growing, or in anticipation of an increased number of students who are going to be in a university town or whatever. I believe all of that is under threat right now.
Yes.
The patterns are not following the norm already, or
Exactly.
at least not following history.
Yes.
Yeah, and just as a bit of a tidbit, right? Another reason why I'm worried about stocks. Okay, I have to tell everyone who's watching this guy. I know some of you are from Rayn's side, so you are very interested in the whole investment thing. Whenever I talk about investments, I want to clarify. I don't do a lot of like investment work myself, so I never ever come from an investment perspective. Which is why this is interesting, because I come from an almost completely astrological perspective. The stock market started, the modern stock market, I have to be clarified, because stock market actually has been around for a very long time. But the modern stock market, i.e. Wall Street, was actually started in about 1870 something. And according to my calculations, this actually puts it in the category of things that began at the beginning of the Earth era. So and it's not just that kind of thing. Olympics, or what we call like commercial sports, also began at the beginning of Earth era. And now that it's ending, you see even Olympics having some trouble, and all commercial sports are having trouble. And the thing is, Wall Street and all modern stock exchange, as far as I'm concerned astrologically, it is behind schedule. So in a sense, astrology is like a timing thing. So certain things have to happen by certain time. But if it hasn't happened by now, that means when it does happen, it will happen very quickly. It's like that, when we are supposed to, when countries supposed to set up democracy, but if they start early, right, they build up slowly. But if they start late, and they keep their king around for very long, right, by the time they decide to want to get rid of the king and replace with something else, they kind of need to get it done in double quick time. So for the people who are watching this, and if you are quite used to what I've been saying, I would say specifically to the stock market lah. Okay, don't talk about other kind of investment. Okay, specific to the stock market. Yeah, I mean, if you like to send me messages and say like, oh, but then you keep saying this, but then it keeps going up and up. I just say like, I didn't say it will happen like today or tomorrow. I said it has to happen during this period. And if it hasn't and it just keeps going up, I'm just saying that historically this will happen. Yeah.
Well, end of the day, it's really important for you to, when you invest, you earn some money, one of a way of very easy to managing it is you exit a bit. So at least you get capital back. Then the rest is, there's not much for you to worry that much. And you shouldn't really look into, investing your money that need to put food on the table. So if you are doing that right, and you're not over trading or whatsoever, you should do well, but you really have to really listen to news and start thinking. Yeah,
but this is in direct contradiction to what you said. Okay, I'm not saying you contradict yourself, but I'm saying that how earlier you were saying that a lot of people are actually trading or investing to try to replace their income.
Yeah.
So in fact, now when you say that people shouldn't be like playing with money that they can't afford to lose, in fact, they are playing with money so that they have food on the table, Yeah, is what I mean? So originally, what you have just shared here is that you put aside money for your food first. Yes. And then when you invest, then that is the additional. So in the sense that you don't put yourself on the line in case things don't go your way.
Correct.
But very, very early on in our conversation, we also touched on the possibility that people are now trading, hoping that the profit is going to be what puts food on their table.
Yes. So
what do you make of that?
They need to do a change of mindsets, and they shouldn't be too heavily invested on that. A general guideline is, you have to have at least 6 months of, backup finances. But, to be honest, in time like this, you better have a 1 year to 1.5 years of backup finances. You shouldn't really go and gamble and hope that, you get a couple of folds back of money. But if you're really in it, we are not, suggesting that you should pull out and whatsoever, correct? Do simple management to at least secure your capital, and the rest of it, just treat it as a bonus. But always invest in yourself in terms of education, learning. Knowledge is always the best investment. Do a lot of thinking before you click the button. It's just like before you engage a trade, you are the boss. After you engage a trade, sorry, the market is the boss. So you plan it well, so you won't have a very, very biased situation that you only see the upside, you don't see the downside, you see. So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so you have to be very, very prudent in that. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, as you were talking about this idea that the market has control over you. Once your money is in it, you have control as long as your money is not in it.
As long as you have not engaged the trade.
As long as you have not engaged the trade in that sense. And okay, now in astrology, investment belongs in this category which we loosely call the eighth house, right? The eighth house, where for some of you who are logging in right now, you may be familiar with some astrological things. So this is like quite basic stuff. I have a list of words here, right? It's it's investments, and in fact another keyword for the eighth house is leverage.
Also vulnerability, correct?
Very much so. So the vulnerability, because it also includes, okay, so far we are being nice, right? So it's investment, it is also other people's resources. And a lot of people don't I like sort of teach you or share something to do with the eighth house, is that the leverage is what it means by other people's resources. You put in $1,000, but you could technically be profiting from a fund that has way more than $1,000. So that's what it means. But the eighth house also includes words like crisis. Yes. It includes words like no control, fear, psychology, vulnerability. So in fact, you've traded for so long, and I have almost no experience trading or like professional investment thing. What really is the biggest challenge psychologically when somebody has a lot of skin in the game?
Emotional. They get very emotional attached, because if they are afraid when they wake up, they lose everything. But trading and investment, it shouldn't be treated as gambling. I'm not saying that you can, but you just set aside very, very small amount if you are really like those true seeker. Well, traders that I know, they risk about 1%. Some of it at max 3%. That means if they wake up, they lose that trade, they are going to lose only 3%. However, there are traders, saying that, I earn 10, 20, 30% a month. But when you look into how they're managing it per trade, it has a very, very strange figure. So over there, if you're a trader, you can take out a calculator and calculate. What I'm getting about average is people are risking about 12.8% per trade without knowing it. They just enter a number that looks nice because they want to earn that kind of profit. But if it hit losses, they lose about 12.8%. On average. That is my crazy statistics, and that's how they can earn from every month. They can flip their account 1-4 and whatsoever, but when they lose, it's really nightmare, and they start to pray to all the gods and universe. We hope that when I was teaching in China, they literally shout for the market to go up or go down. It's in a way it's fun to see, because back then
it's fun, but I'm not really sure it works.
But I feel very hurt for their money, you see. It's like it's like no matter how loud you scream, the market is not going to get motivated by you, correct? So this is something that, well, I'm in this for very, very long. I'm very, very comfortable with it, but many of times you really have to think before you engage. I'm not saying that you can't, because a lot of people love to use the word 危机, equal 商机, but they forget one thing. That means when there's a crisis, there's opportunity. People love to say that.
But you have to survive the crisis first, then maybe there's an opportunity. There's a chance you might not survive.
True. And before that, do you have the knowledge to manage the crisis?
Yep.
You don't have the knowledge, you go in and you look for opportunity, then it becomes a crisis to you, you see. And these are things that is very, very dangerous. And when I see how banks, governments are trying to help people, but end up people take this money to go and gamble in a way, I think is really, really very, very scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this what I'm about to share is totally my personal opinion, okay? But
Likewise. Yeah.
the truth is, when it comes down to investment, I deal a lot with investment people, which is pretty strange considering I don't really do much of it myself. But one of the observations is that I've realized they don't always have what I call peace of mind. That with regard to a certain amount of risk, and don't get me wrong, I like risk. I take a lot of business risk myself, but I think one of the things is where once, like you say, once a trade is engaged, you actually don't really have a lot of say over what actually happens to it. You only have two decisions to make: enter and exit. That's really the only two actions that are within your control. So in the sense, I think what I want to add on to this is that now, if you are among the people who are looking to get into investment specifically as a profession, as what Rayn has been doing for many years, I think peace of mind is something that is very underrated. And over the last, it's not even something that only happened in 2020. I think over the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of my clients, and quite specifically male clients, the women not so, but the men have gotten very obsessed about, when they come and talk to me, they'll just say things like, May, do you see any possibility that I will succeed in investment? And by the way, please don't bother sending that to me, okay? It's astrology doesn't quite work that way. It never guarantees whether someone's going to be a good trader or not, okay? I just save you the trouble, okay? But I think what was very caught on my end was that people want to do this because either they hate their jobs, or they think that they will make more money with investment, or maybe they found a guru who made it. Sometimes you get people from, like, sometimes I get people from the military. They want to exit. They want to exit the military, and then they found this one guy who did it. This one guy went and, like, prayed to this, worship this guru, and then somehow managed to make like a few $1,000,000 on the side. And then before you know, all these guys are, hey, we all come. Then they go and hold hands with like 4 or 5 of these army people. Then they all go and try at the same time. I'm not singling army people, I'm just saying, okay? But what I'm saying is that when you end up risking a lot of, and especially if you go from a position that is very about security. Say if you always know a career that where you have a fixed salary. And then if you were to go in directly into investment, right? And I'm sure Rayn has gotten many of such cases among students and people that you deal with, that this idea of money up and money down is very stressful for a lot of people. Of course, you don't realize you don't realize your losses until you exit in many cases. But it's an emotional roller coaster, which I think not enough people talk about this. Not enough people talk about the fact that is it true, Rayn, so far? I mean, you have students that come from all the different backgrounds, and people get enthusiastic about the potential profit. What are some of the patterns that you see with regard to backgrounds? Is there a pattern, like certain background people have certain problems with dealing with the emotional, psychological effects? What have you noticed so far?
Okay, so let me just, there are a couple of things that you touched on. So I will share my points and my views. So yes, it's true that once you have engaged the trade, your control will be on the market, correct? The market, you become the vulnerable party. However, if you got your trade plan planned out and you follow your trade plan, that is fine. You already encounter or rather anticipate the worst case scenario, that is fine as well. So, well, people that is back to your question about which group of people are more susceptible to huge losses. Sad to say, entrepreneurs, those are the groups of people, because entrepreneurs are often creative. We belong to a business networking group, correct?
We're naturally risk takers.
Yeah, and when they give you a list of what you call something that you should be doing, you know, you follow this formula, you know, and it will show that your business, it will help your business because this is the networking formula and stuff like that, correct? But often not, what we observe is a lot of entrepreneurs actually try their ways of doing things, and many of times from our observation, correct me if I'm wrong, it pretty much affect the entire system. So the system was great, but because you are so enterprising and you're so creative, that's how you actually manage to destroy the entire system.
It's interesting what you say, because if you say that there's like, for example, okay, I was very conscious of how I was reacting on a psychological level, even as you are talking, because for me it's like the moment you say a set of instructions, right, I know I had a reaction. Because entrepreneurs are bosses who are not very good at following instructions.
We are rebels, right? If you are not rebels, you will look for a job, right? In a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I can imagine that these people are just not very good at following a regimen in general. And I think entrepreneurs want control.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
partly just now, very interesting point that you point out. I believe you know that, but you're receiving a lot of email from traders and especially male traders, whatsoever on trading related, because whatever you do is also on the 8th house, correct? Because 8th house also means transformation, and that's what you're good at, correct? So, when
Different kind.
in the way of astrology, that if I may quote, 8th house a lot of times is everything, so every time when May love to say it's either situation A, situation B, but usually it's both, in most
it's
cases.
usually all of the above.
Yes, correct. So that's why a lot of traders are also very drawn into, destiny reading, astrological related stuff and stuff like that. So this is something that is very, very interesting observation. So you can see that if you have a character of, you love taboo topics, you are things like you love astrology, you like to look into you love risk taking. I'm not saying that you're going to be a successful trader, but it's a good thoughts you can have a look. But if you're those kind of people that love to buy lottery numbers, that is on the 5th house, most likely.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful when you enter into trading, because you want big wins. You do not have the patience to wait.
Yeah.
You might not have the patience to strategize, or even if you strategize, you are going to, people trade maybe one position, you trade 10 position, I'm 10 times faster than you. Then these are something that you have to be very careful. People that have very strong competitive nature, which is good, but you have to be careful as well if you love to show off, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, what, when you talked about this fifth archetype, by the way, guys, if you're watching this, please feel free to sort of like leave some questions, and and we're sharing some like really insider stuff, which I swear, Rayn, I've never come online, and I've never said this kind of thing online before. Okay, we are totally like no holds barred here. So seriously, if you know of people who are like trading and everything, they really should be listening to this, right? So share, and in the air era, I fully encourage this idea of sharing. It's the truth is what me and Rayn are talking about here. It's the real story, right, behind what's going on. And so if you have questions or comments, right, please feel free to add them in. Okay, so as me and Rayn, we are going to sort of like look at comments here and there. So as you are doing that, I just wanted to sort of add in like one interesting thing that you talked about with this fifth archetype. Okay, so I know we're talking astrology here, so that's what me and Rayn sometimes do, right? The difference between the 8th and the 5th, he said 5th is like people who buy lottery numbers, the 8th are like the investors. The real difference between the two is that the 8th includes the concept of risk. The 5th one is more like it's luck. Now, risk and luck are not quite the same thing. And I think when it comes down to luck, there's something I discovered from years of doing astrology, is that when we apply the gambler's perspective to luck, there is a concept which I teach in my class. It's called hubris. And hubris is a kind of arrogance. If you all don't know what it means, you can go on Google and like go and look for this word, right? But hubris is a kind of arrogance, which in my own language, I interpret it as you are better than God. Now, I tell you why, okay? Because with luck, especially you buy lottery numbers, there's a probability of winning. Whether it's Rain buy, I buy, you buy, or Santa Claus buy, it doesn't matter. The reality is that the probability is the same for everyone. You buy 10 numbers, your chances are the same. But when a person puts money down and feels that I don't think you will win, but I think my number will win, it's an expectation that my odds will be better than it would be for any other person. So in that sense, it's a very special kind of hubris that feels other people buy will make money, that I buy I will make money. And when this mindset, when this psychology is being applied to investment, and I have to admit, this is one of the things that I sometimes look out for, Rain, when people come and ask me to do like profiling and that kind of stuff, right? Is once I see this hubris being very strong in the chart, that is possibly one of the reasons why I'm proposing. Like, I haven't actually done a study of all people who lost money in investment, okay? But I'm proposing that this kind of massive losses are because somehow they felt that it will happen to other people but not to them. It is a very strange mentality. But the eighth is very different because these people are a bit more realistic. They kind of know that there's always a chance that you could lose it all. And in some kind of investments, you don't just lose it all, you lose it and then some. Is that true, Rain? I mean, I'm not even sure if what I'm saying is factually correct.
I got a different, what you call a slightly different but the same explanation of hubris characteristics. We call them the God complex,
Uh-huh.
You know,
They think that they are God. I said they are better than God.
yeah, so you feel like, oh, if I buy this number, like lottery number, I cannot let people know because they usually are a bit more superstitious. Your pachi and my pachi cannot be together. Buy this number won't open. Well, the truth is it's going to open. It's going to open, correct? If it's not, it's not, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that is a very very true. But I would not just say about the losing, but people who have this hubris, the godlike complex and stuff like that. Yes, it's true that they can have huge losses, but to me that could be a blessing in disguise compared to they have a huge win. They have a huge win and they are hubris. That is worst of the worst because they are going to mismanage the money. They thought that it's going to happen again to them, and they will keep on. Those are the people that are going to double down. The hubris, the kind of fifth house archetype, they lose, they might stop there. Or maybe they will try 2 or 3 times, but they will stop. If they are continuous losing. But those that have tasted success accidentally, oh my God, they'll keep on doubling down. It's never ending. They will always like, there was a time when people say, they'll keep on doing that. But people in the crisis, they always believe that there's a group of people that always have this conspiracy theory, whatever, on the news is not true. They don't believe everything, they believe that COVID is fake, and stuff like that. On the contrary part, these are the people that is having a lower tendency of losing money because they're so skeptical. Sometimes they might even too skeptical to even take action. So I would say have a bit of mix of two will be good. But people with very very strong optimism or godlike complex to believe the world. In a way, when we say law of attraction, that's what we do. We believe the world conspire for your good, correct? But you don't use it in your trading. You have, yes, it's true, but it can be true, but you need the very important thing known as the knowledge. Yeah, so I hope I covered that. Did I answer?
Yeah, absolutely. But Rain, in psychological astrology, right, there are a few profiles, and there's something you said just now that reminded me of a particular profile. As what you specifically described as somebody who won once. It's like the feeling is like you won the lottery once. There's a bit of that luckiness, but you get a high.
Yes.
It's like a drug high.
Yes.
And then what happens is it's like a drug addict who goes around looking for the next high.
Yes.
And because so the thing is, if I did this once before and I got the high, let's keep doing it so that I can get the high again. Sometimes I think it gets to a point where it may not even necessarily be about the money per se or the profit even really. They're just looking for that feeling of shuang,
Correct. They are compelled, they are addicted to that euphoric kind of experience, you see.
Okay, I'm just going to be evil here. You know which PA is this? Which profile is this? The one who keeps looking for that high.
Jup or Uranus people, correct? Sun.
Jupiter and Uranus have that sense of like needing the excitement and the acceleration, right?
Oh, Sun Pluto.
But Sun Pluto actually belongs in that category of the skeptic, because they are very conscious of all the ways they could die. In fact, the one that is really getting to me, it's a bit of an unusual way of interpreting this, but I think it is the Mars Neptune PA. So it's what I call the idealist. Yeah, it's like Mars Neptune is it's interesting because these people are looking for the easy way out. That means if I can just click this button and I'll get $1 million. And the thing is that there are people who, if this profile is particularly strong in a person's chart, they can be very easily led into this into a dream, but it also very susceptible to massive disappointment. And then they feel like after that it's like they feel like 被骗, or like they are cheated, because but maybe the fellow who did it once actually really did make it. But then if you replicate everything that he does, but everything else is different, the time is different, the stock is different, the politics is different, and something's just unreplicated that way. And what's worse is the laziness behind it.
Yes.
And I think this is where me and Rayn are going to converge on our beliefs, because there's no analysis done. It's just a belief that if I click this button, I'll make $1 million. But no homework is done, no risk analysis is done, and sometimes don't even know what they're buying.
I have a conversation which is quite funny, so I thought I'm going to share this, and I pretty much agree on this Mars Neptune thing, because always when I see that there's a negative, there's a possibility of people really got it,
Yep.
But when recently there's someone that actually asked me, entrepreneur asked me about Bitcoin, and those who managed to hold it all the way to 40 over thousand before they let go, they asked, is it luck? Well, my answer to that, are you interested to know?
Yeah. I mean, please. I mean, like I said, I have so many questions about Bitcoin, but I also have a funny feeling that it's one of those things where I'm not really sure if anyone knows, but I'm very interested to hear everyone's take on it.
Yeah. So she asked, when she earned this money, she asked if it's luck. Then I give a answer that is either is a yes or no thing, because you see, I believe people that buy at maybe 7,000 or 5,000 and they can hold it to 40,000. There's only a couple of possibilities. First, they did a market study research for many years. They understand the effect of splitting and the possibility of it. They study the markets, and they invest and having the intention to hold it to a certain date, and they are not trading it, so they will not have this what we call a volatility risk. That means I buy, as long as I don't sell, I will not liquidate the losses and the profits, so there is no volatility risk. And these people are the smart investor. Okay, they have the smart luck. The other type of people is pretty much a joke, because once in every maybe a quarter I'll do a bit of spring cleaning, and that's what I do. So the joke came about is like, I bought a Bitcoin maybe at $200. I put it in a thumb drive or whatever device token that I save it. I forget about it. And when I do this spring cleaning, hey, what's that plugin? Oh, I'm a millionaire. Millionaire. So that is what we call a dumb luck. That means you're lucky, you bought, you forget. Then you, hey, I have that.
I do that, or you're very rich.
Yeah, that's the group of people. I do know people that they go around buying crypto. So they will just, when a crypto is new, it's just a few cents.
Yeah.
And they just put $1,000 here, 1,000 here, 1,000 here, 1,000 here. But that guy is rich, okay? Yeah. And to them, this 1,000 is nothing. It's not the next month bill or whatsoever. And there are stories that, it went, the entire 1,000 value went all the way to 400,000. Somehow the guy he don't want to cash out. I don't understand. Then he dropped to 100,000, he cash out. But it's still a good returns. It's 100 times returns,
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, it is possible if you have spare cash and you like it, you have your gut feel, because you never know, correct? Because it's so new of a certain crypto, unless you really know the person that well, the character, you give it a shot, who knows, it can happen. All right. So this is the only 3 possibility that you can really earn huge money in a relatively shorter time compared to traditional method, and you can benefit from it. And jokes aside, these are all very, very real stories. You know, I heard of these 3 kind of portfolio that really get rich. But one thing I have to remind everyone is that earning money is actually not that tough, frankly speaking. Okay, especially if you are in Singapore, you know, earning money is not a problem at all. You know, some countries, even you want to work in McDonald's, you have a problem, correct? But in Singapore, it's never a problem. You know, we are just too picky, correct? But it's all about how you manage your wealth. That is very, very important. You know, trading, spotting a trend, is not that tough, frankly speaking, if you have a good coach. It's about how you manage your trade, how you manage your profits, how you manage your wealth. Are you going to spend your, you know, income, money, and and try to be a Santa Claus, and you believe you're going to replicate that just to prove something to people, the ego side, you know? And if you have that characteristics, I will highly recommend to look for a good psychological astrologer, the one that really study your chart, understand, because it's pretty much in a way it's one-to-one, although it's a class size, all right?
Yeah.
Although it's a class size.
Oh, wait. Okay, I just accidentally opened.
Yes, I know. I heard a very familiar voice.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm just really not.
Yeah, so what I love about May's class is that even if you are in a class size, online, offline, and you're sharing your experience, what people really matters and remember is themselves. So really spend time to really understand you yourself, of how people is your perspective of you, and how you are really, or the new age word, we call them the shadow self, the dark side of you, and really manage yourself well. And one thing, May, I love about trading so much that I even have this commitment, and I pledge that, let's say if I'm going to have a kid at the age of 10, I'm going to teach them how to trade, because trading, in my own world and my perspective, it molds a person character. You cannot be egoistic, you cannot be having this godlike complex, and you are able to earn money for a long time, maybe 3, 5, 10 years, but it will not be forever. In trading, it taught me a lot about being humble, plan in advance, being disciplined, follow the routine. Because, like running business, when people want to go into entrepreneurship, what they really want is a freedom of time. But what really caused them to lose money is because of freedom of time. Likewise for trading, we can say you need as little as 30 minutes, but if you're not going to commit to it, you're not going to see results. If you're going to assume things like Monday and Friday market is not going to move, and you skip your analysis, and sometimes those are the days that's going to give you great results, you see.
No,
So
I
yeah,
think also it's trading, as what I can see, especially if you are exchanging a job for a trading income. I think the part that a lot of people forget, perhaps I'm just making an observation, is when you switch from A to B, the reality is you essentially take on a new job.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like, if you want to trade for a living, then you have to trade for a living.
yes,
Yeah, that's I think that's the important takeaway. And I suppose, as I talk a lot about this idea of people moving into this freelance kind of thing, whether you become a freelance chef, or you become a freelance a trader, or an astrologer, or whatever it is, a lot of this happens in the spiritual profession as well. The what's important to understand here is to avoid, from what I think here, is this concept of escape.
yes,
Because sometimes when the job sucks, or if you don't think that you are in the right place, and people are very conscious of what they're losing their free time, they're losing the opportunity to earn more than a fixed salary. Then often, when you look at something else as a possibility, it feels like an escape. It's like it's easier, like I have spent less effort, less time, and they can make more. So this is I think it's for people to realize, especially in air era, when it becomes very easy for YouTube ads, or like, you know, the Facebook ad that just pops out at you, go be part of this, can make money. I think what both me and Rain are very aligned with is really getting people to make very realistic decisions for yourself. And I think the possibly one of the takeaways, you know, I know Rain for a very long time, and this is not someone who takes risks. And he, as in, well, I'm not saying he doesn't take risks, you know, but you got to see the kind of thought that goes into something before he goes into it. And sometimes as his friend, there are times where I've been quite exhausted also listening to him exploring every single possibility that I thought I was like, you know, I would think of most things, but he thinks of more things. And so the truth is, I think through Rain, what I have realized here is that the vast difference between a professional and potentially a hobbyist is how professionally do you take it. And maybe we're a bit like traditional in that sense, but I think time is also a very important thing. How many hours has someone put into something, be it just that one trade, or is it, you know, slowly building up a you know, a whole experience of what it is that you're supposed to do. And I think, you know, for those of you who are like listening in and you are sort of like maybe at a point where you're thinking about going into another trade or profession, it doesn't matter even if you are not interested in trading or astrology. But if you are moving into something, and I think a lot of people are changing trades right now, it's important to realize that that it takes a commitment into a brand new trade. And if they say, you know, that you takes 10,000 hours to gain mastery in any skill, I think it applies to everything. Yeah, so it's and I think also mastery comes from a little bit more than watching YouTube videos also. I think no, what I think mastery comes from practice. And which means you actually have to be doing activity. And I want to caution a lot of people, in especially in this era where information is so easily available. You can easily find an ebook, you can find a bullet point somewhere, website, PDF, YouTube videos, Instagram videos. And what I think is very important is, guys, you want to get away from this concept of consumption. That means when you are watching a video, you are taking in, but practice requires you to give out. So I think this is definitely something I have learned from Reed, because I have seen his analysis. I don't always understand it. In fact, I almost don't at all. But what I do recognize is the mark of a master, somebody who has really thought through factors. And this is something I really think yeah, everyone should really look at, right? Whether is it trade or astrology or something else. Yeah, it's yeah. And so Rain, do you are there any like questions that you wish I had asked you but I didn't?
Maybe I'll just share a bit. I think May, you really point out a lot of things, and some of the words I thought is golden, you know, you just say it so
Like what?
casually. Because
I don't mind the praise.
in anything that you want to do in life, apart from knowledge, you need a commitment. Are you committed to it? So if you're not committed to success, then your definition of success is very important. Let's say your commitment is, I want to be a trader because, you know, given the fact, you know, just really, you know, I really put it up as a challenge. I really can't think of any other trade in the world that I can think of that there's no need for you to report to boss, there's no need for you to please any people, there's no need for you to have human interaction, provided you have the capital. You know, Chinese what we say, 不用靠脸，人在脸色吃饭. And
That's a
as long as you
dream
have,
for a lot of people. Don't
yes,
have to talk to humans and
yes,
just talk to a computer. Yeah.
no, not true. Just have to manage yourself.
Yeah.
Your job is to manage yourself, but that isn't a part of character and personal building. That isn't something that we should work on every day, and not saying that, oh, my character is like that. I am a sun Pluto. You have to suck it out. That's my character, and this is imprint in my chart. You know, and what I love about what May every time say is that if you don't like the characteristics, look into the good side or look into other aspects and heighten, or rather give more attention to them, and you can really write your own life. You know, nothing is cast in stone. You know, even a person, you know, we can say that you have godlike complex and whatsoever, you are maybe have to be very careful in trading. That doesn't mean you can't succeed in it. You just have to spend a bit more effort in managing yourself of that egoistic characteristic, which is good. It portrays as a ego, portrayed as a confident to people. You shine, all right? But internally, you really have to study up. You have to learn in areas that you are not prominent in. You spend more time, but end of the day, you are molding yourself. And one thing I love about trading as well is that, the truth about trading is there isn't a holy grail trading strategy. There isn't one that really brings you a lot of profits. Of course, you can say, you risk $1 and your projected profit is $10. The keyword is projected. Every decision you make is a trade-off in life. Trading is also the same. Every decision you make, you want to do this, you want to make this adjustment, you will be losing off something or in exchange of something. And if you look into energy, if you look into character, it's always a trade-off. That's why I really love trading in a way. And just now may bring up something that's very, very interesting. Well, you can watch as many videos, which whatever content it is, be it astrology, forex, whatever content. Don't just absorb. And people with certain characteristics, especially those Mercury very strong characteristics, you might come up with your own assumption of certain thing is correct, but maybe you understand wrongly. So it's always good to share, to comment on the author post. It could be anyone, it could be marketing, it could be anything. You ask in the support group, you comment over there, people will interact with you and you can confirm your thoughts. Is it correct? Is there any blind spot? I think that is very, very important in an air era. Don't just assume, don't be shy, asking won't kill. Assumption kills. Assumption.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really important. I think what you bring up, this idea of engagement.
Yep.
So comments, asking questions, sharing within a community, because I believe it doesn't really matter what it is that you do, but you're not the only person in the world who wants to do it.
Correct.
And for every other person who has discovered one or two things that you haven't, imagine if one of the best ways to use the air era is to have that community of sharing.
Yes.
And this is where I think it didn't come very naturally to people during the Earth era. It was so easy for people to, you want me to share, you gotta pay first. It's that used to be the old way of doing things.
Correct.
Yeah. So well, I mean, I guess we've just gone over about an hour. So I suppose we probably come to the end of our chat right now. We want to thank the people who are here. I hope you definitely learned something. Definitely think about making your transition. We think the air era is a great time to make a transition. So but for the people who are interested in what Rayn is doing, okay, I just want to do a bit of bragging thing for him, right? I will do this on his behalf, okay? I already said earlier about how this is not somebody who is very into the whole unnecessary risk kind of thing, right? There's a lot of work that's being done, and I think one of the things that I've seen him do is to well, I use quite direct words, is to simplify some of these concepts. It takes somebody to really look at a lot of these patterns and to chunk it down into a way that accelerates a person's learning. And what I have noticed is that it's a lot less about teaching content, because seriously, content is available everywhere. But rather, I think it is the thought process, which I think is super important. One other thing also is that I understand that Rayn is also not your usual guy who's just, I want as many students as possible. And I don't think that's where he's coming from anymore. He's gotten to a certain level in his profession. So therefore, you should really only, if you really are thinking about going into something that's professional, then I think going to him is not just about learning the trading, but I think learning the lifestyle, learning the discipline, learning how to manage you. And because I always feel that the market is the same for everyone. It doesn't matter. The stock is the stock. The trading pair is the trading pair. But the thing is, the only difference is the person who's clicking. And therefore, that's what's important, is to really get the self, rather than, I just want to know what to trade. And I don't think that's the way of getting to it. Okay, so and if you look into your screen, you should see a link, right? So Rayn, you want to tell everybody what does this link lead to?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for the link. Okay, so that's the link to my what you call website. Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, it's very true that right now after spending a lot of time understanding myself and what I want in life, and that a lot of it attribute to what May's actually, how she run her psychological astrology PA courses, tongue tied, so understanding myself, knowing what I really want. And right now I am working with people that really, really commit to success. Every year right now I can only take up 15 people to really train them to be in this industry. So I'm not looking for people just to trade, but to run it as a business, not running with me, but to set up their own personal brand, because I believe everyone have their own message. And what I do is to give them a guideline, how they should be doing it. Running it, not just trading, but business is a 1-year program that I'm doing. So it's not a program that you pay, I'll accept you. We'll have to have a short chat. Maybe I'll just paste my WhatsApp link. You can just WhatsApp me, it's fine. And we see if it's a good fit. Obviously, if you want to try whether FX is for you, we also dedicate a free course for you to learn. But when you're trying, just open what we call a practice account, a demo account. And once you see some results, don't over risk it. When you have questions, we have online community, just ask question. And it's a pleasant surprise that you do a shout out for me. So nice of you. And I really appreciate that. And time flies, and I didn't know it's already 1 hour in, and it's always fun to really
It's because you see this is it's very important for there to be a proper exposure for what I feel is the very down to earth kind of trading. I think the days of like flashy marketing and all that stuff is quite over.
Yeah.
So I guess we will wrap up. I will also like to just get Jeremy to post my link, and this is just in case people want to text me. I don't really do personal consultations anymore. I don't believe in the whole passive consumption. I think that in this era, it's very important to engage a person's what it is that you want to do with your life. And whatever it is that you choose to embark into in this climate of change, you want to make sure that not just people want to know whether this is aligned with your strengths or your avoid weaknesses. And I think that conversation is very off era. When you want to go into the air era, I think what's more important is to get in touch with a value system, your value system, your belief system. So in the end, it almost doesn't really matter what kind of profession you get into, as long as it ticks your boxes. And I think it's a lot more than just career, but really lifestyle and how is it that you want to present yourself to the world in future. So in fact, I really am only looking for people who want to work on themselves, on their own chart. And what's the best part is I'll teach you what you need to know about your charts, and then we will guide people into the thought process of drawing the conclusions from your chart. And
I may add, don't focus on what industry you should go into and you earn money and you become what, that means financially abundance, but towards your specialty, your special strength, your superpower, what you are good at, and look into those quality in the same kind of job that suits you. Focus on that. And I love, if I may, I just share one thing. I'm very talkative today, so sorry.
No problem.
I believe that I'm introvert, man. Okay, so anyway, I just want to throw out something for all the viewers over here. Is that you remember that time that when we are so much younger at the age of 3 and 5 years old, and we often, maybe it's just me, but a lot of my friends have that as well. When we go to a shop, or supermarket, we want candy, we want toys, there will be a point that my parents will reject you, correct, and say, no, this is not for you, or there's already too much, you have to get good grades, typical Asian parents, or teaching and growing up. And we always have this thought at the back of the mind that we are quite a rebel, and we will have things and thoughts like, when I grow up, I'll do it for myself, I'll get this for myself, and I will not say no. Take a moment to really think, what are you doing to yourself right now? Are you doing something that you really love to do? I think in the world, the most sad part, you can say whatever, but I think the saddest thing in life is you do a self-imprisonment of yourself, and you say that, no, this job pays me well, I'm just going to do it in 5 to 10 years. That's 5 to 10 years of your life. You have to remember that. Yeah, so that's my parting message.
Yes, so wanna thank Rayn for joining me for this. First time we are doing this.
Yeah.
And yes, and yeah, wanna get in touch. Those of you who actually are friends of Rayn, I'll give you a hint, right? You wanna really get in touch with him here in Singapore. Before Zoom might be your only option for a while. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Rayn. And I think, guys, we're gonna just sort of end off here. And so thank you all, and we'll go off live. Okay, see you guys. Bye.